guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am first off recording this on my phone because my camera battery is dead and I do not yet have a spare. But today we are trying out the Makiage Flawless base foundation. I've seen this going around on Snapchat and Instagram and it's just constantly being thrown in my face. So I figured let's try it out. According to their website, you can try this out for 14 days, and if you don't like it, you send it back. And also on their website, it does give you a little quiz that is supposed to shade match you to the correct foundation shade. So I did take the quiz, and it recommended shade number 35. So that is the one that I purchased. I'm going to apply this to one side of my face with a brush, and then the other side with a sponge, just to see if one set of tools gives better coverage than the other. The only thing that I have on my face right now is my SPF, and I'm using the Murad Environmental Shield Essential C Day Moisture SPF 30. So I don't have on a primer or anything, just my regular old SPF. So without further ado, I will shut my mouth and let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna do one side of my face, this side, with a sponge, and this is from Ciate. This is my favorite sponge. And then this side of my face, we're gonna use a brush, and we're gonna use the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. This is my current favorite brush for foundation. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm gonna test the shade first. I'm gonna put one pump on the back of my hand. That looks like it's gonna be way yellow, so that is not promising right off the bat. I'm gonna go ahead and blend that out with the sponge. Shade is kind of dark. It appears to be about at least 2 shades too dark. Nothing's really happening. It just appears to kind of be blending away. And the shade is definitely too yellow. So there's that. Oh. Gonna use this brush on this side. Brush side is not a ton better. That was one pump and I'm already losing a fair bit. So let's try it again. One pump on this side. Yeah, the shade is definitely off. You can see it even in the camera that my face is now a couple shades darker than my neck. So this is definitely not the right shade. So you would definitely, I would just recommend going by swatches. I would not recommend taking the quiz and going off the quiz. Coverage is okay. I wouldn't say this is full coverage or anything because you can definitely still see some blemishes and some texture coming through. And it doesn't appear to be covering some of my redness. So I would not say that this is full coverage. All right, brush side's done. Let's go ahead and move on to the sponge side for my forehead. All right, maybe it's just that this sponge is not the best. We're gonna try this other sponge. This is also from Ciate. It's a little bit more soft, but maybe that will, oh, and that is just taking away all of the coverage. See here? Yeah, definitely don't use like a sponge that soaks up a lot of product because that is just completely blending away. Yeah, if you're gonna wear this, definitely just go with a brush. The sponge just is not giving great coverage at all. On this side, you can still see all of my redness, all of my imperfections. The brush side is the way to go. So we are gonna abandon sponge because it's just completely not doing anything. And we are gonna move on to the brush side with a little bit more product. Ugh. Does not look great. This is supposed to be a matte foundation, but it definitely does not feel matte. It definitely feels tacky and sticky. Maybe that will go away as it sits on my skin. But this is, I would not call this matte. Doesn't look great. It does look super makeup-y. I'm getting some creasing, like down here, right here where I get creasing. And then around my nose, it just appears to be clinging on to the dry patches that I have right here beside my nose. After I've blended it onto my skin, the shade is definitely dark. So I would not go by the foundation shade matching quiz on their site. I would definitely just go by swatches if you're going to try this out. I am going to take some product and just blend it down my neck so it doesn't look super off with the rest of my body. I've been blending it for quite a while now, and yeah, it is definitely not full coverage. It is not any sort of full coverage like the models on their ads, you know, claim. However, even though the shade is off and it's not full coverage, it is giving, I would say, like a satin matte finish. It's not completely matte like they claim, but it is not full on dewy either. You can see some glow happening here, and you can see it happening on this side here. That could just be attributed to the amount of product I had to put on to get high medium coverage. I used probably 2 or 3 pumps of this to get this level of coverage. So if you're looking for a foundation where you're going to have amazing full coverage off of 1 pump, do not get this, because it's buildable, but it's only buildable up to about a high medium. It is not buildable up to a full coverage or anything like that. At least on my skin tone, it's not. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, but we will check this in about 4 to 5 hours in natural lighting when I am grocery shopping. So I'll see you guys then. All right, so here we are in natural lighting in front of the window, and it's maybe been about an hour since I put on the foundation. So let's just, well, it still feels sticky even after I set it down. It still has a kind of a tacky finish. And I did have some issues with blending my bronzer on top of it. I don't know if that's the foundation itself or if that's just because it needed to set down some more. But in either case, did have some issues with that. You can definitely tell in natural lighting that the shade is way off. You can tell that the shade is probably about maybe a shade or two too dark. I do think that it's lightened as it set down. It did lighten maybe a shade as opposed to darkening. So that's exciting. It doesn't look quite like in camera. It doesn't look quite as dark as it did before, and it doesn't look quite as glowy as it did before, but I would still call this a satin matte finish. You can tell, you can still see some glow happening here and on my cheeks, and I don't have on a highlighter or anything, but I don't see a whole lot of creasing or anything. I tend to get a lot of creasing like in my eye area and in this area right here, and I don't see a ton of that happening right now, so that's exciting. I will continue to check in regularly throughout the day, and by the end of the day we'll see how the Il Makiage foundation holds up. I'll see you guys in the next check-in. All right, so it's been about 3.5 to 4 hours since I put on the foundation. Let's go ahead and see how we are doing. So I'm not seeing a ton of breaking down. It is looking a little bit heavy in my mouth area, and it appears that maybe my mascara is transferring down, but the foundation itself doesn't look bad, but it does look kind of heavy around my mouth area, so I think maybe I would need to use some sort of primer underneath, because I don't have on a primer or anything. On my forehead, it kind of looks like it might be breaking down over here, but I have been sweating a lot, so I don't necessarily think that's the fault of the foundation. I just think that I've been sweating a lot, and so the foundation's coming off in response to that. But it doesn't look bad. For 3 hours in, I will continue to update. I'll update again when I get home from running my errands, and we'll see how it looks then. All right, so it is the end of the day. It is 9 o'clock, and let's see how we're looking. So it has worn off completely on my chin, And on the sides of my nose and on the top of my nose, it has completely worn off. And then over here, it is completely worn off. And over here. And there's definitely, you can just, it looks very makeup-y at this point. Yeah. So my thoughts on this are that it does look nice for like 8 to 9 hours in. It looks good, I think. But this is not something I would recommend getting if you're wanting something full coverage that's gonna stay full coverage all day long, not gonna cake up, not gonna look super heavy or anything. I think this is a fine everyday, type of foundation, and I would even say that it might be a good mixing foundation, but I don't think this is necessarily something that you should waste your money on if you want something full coverage that's not going to cake up or anything like that. But it's okay. I don't think it's worth the $44 price tag. That's just my personal opinion. But it doesn't look bad. But those are my thoughts. If you guys enjoyed this type of video, you can give it a thumbs up and you can subscribe. I'd love to have you back. But I will see you guys in my next one. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I will leave it right here for everyone to go and follow me there. And you can leave me your suggestions down in the comments. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.